Hello everyone, just a trading prep video for the week, just to see or prepare for the week ahead and review what happened this week and kind of lessons to take into next week as well. So the first bit to look into, I guess, is what happened this week. The key bit that we had was we got the FOMC statement. It was good news overall. We got a rally off of that, and we started to challenge the all-time high. We obviously rejected off the all-time high. That is kind of obvious on kind of hefty volume, but we do have an attempt to run it again from the bull perspective, and from the bear perspective, we're looking for a good degree of follow through. So this overall price action here is kind of, we're kind of getting into choppy territory, aren't we? A little bit with backwards, forwards. So this kind of steady price action here is kind of starting to fade away, but we've obviously challenged the all-time high. That's good. But where the concern is, I suppose, if you're a bull, is what's happening overall to the sectors. We rejected off that. But what that was mostly led by, if not entirely led by, was particular sectors. So if we look at SMH, so semiconductors and tech have very much led us through the rallies the last few months, and big chunks of the year really kind of upwards from here. A lot of it has been led from a tech perspective and definitely a semiconductor perspective. The big one in that is obviously Nvidia. So we can kind of see we kind of got smashed down from a tech perspective. So tech QQQ, we've been pushed down to the SMAs and anchored VWAPs to the quarter basically. So that's a VWAP Q. So from a bull perspective, what we're looking to do here is basically to start to bounce off of this. That's the kind of first thing. Because what's worrying from this perspective, if you're a bull, is we have formed a lower high. So we didn't even get close to its all-time high for QQQ. SMH did, but for tech as well. So we didn't make it anywhere near that. That is a bearish sign, right? The mere fact that we started selling before we even made it at this point is interesting. So if we zoom out a bit further, which we should do more of, is we're now interested to see what can the bears do, I suppose, with that lower high. Do we bounce off of this SMA here and try to push up again and to try to challenge this level and the all-time high? So will this hold? Will we get follow through? That's going to be the key theme for the week, because yes, this is not all of the sectors, but is a really big part of the overall market is semiconductors and tech. So what I was looking at last week and kind of called for a little bit is maybe some sector rotation. We've kind of bounced nicely off here. We had got this rally up here, but be nice to see from a bull perspective some rotation. And we did see rotation, and that's the really good thing, actually, if we're looking from a bullish perspective, is we didn't see drop from every single sector. So that is a good sign. That is a good sign. And we've got some support underneath here from the markets. So do we get follow through? Ideally, these are the levels we want to see hold, especially this kind of AVWAP-Q. But what is a good sign, and we'll see where we start on Monday, is we did actually see some pretty decent rotation. So yes, this is only a small thing, but the industrial stock's done all right, done pretty well. We're not seeing a big spike in VIX, kind of that volatility. And if we're starting to get bearish, we would want to see that. But it ended up cratering and actually not driving us that high. To be honest, it kind of settled out. So again, good sign if you're a bull. So we saw relative strength, rotation into basically all the other sectors really, minus from our big ones. So The main ones I want to focus on, which I think Dan from Chart Guys has this really great balancing act basically. But if we see a decline in QQQ, SMH, XLK, what is the two other major sectors that we hold in balance doing? And that would be healthcare and financials. And what I was looking at last week was be interesting to see if financials can break out of this range, and they did. So that's fantastic. That's really good. That's what I was looking for. And yeah, XLV also held. So from a market perspective, that's good. That's some healthy rotation into those other sectors. What's obviously a bit worrying, of course, is we have QQQ, we have the tech and SMH semiconductors really kind of selling off pretty hard there, forming lower highs as well. So concerning, because that is a really key driver to the market. And we might see the overall market still tick down because like a lead weight is around the neck of the market, these other sectors might not be strong enough to kind of keep us afloat. But what we'll hopefully, from the bull's perspective, is what we'll see is, yes, it might tick down, but you're not going to break and chonk down if you've not got alignment in your sectors, kind of, and the bear's taking over. So that's good. I think from my own perspective and my own trading last week, because that's review that, even though I did review that over the weekend, I called for my previous video, I was looking at the XLV XLF rotation. That's what I was very much looking at. But from my own perspective, which was obviously were mistakes, is I ended up taking positions in sectors and stocks that I didn't really want to, really. So JPM was good. I like the rotation into that. I like LLY as my pick because it's in a sector that's strong. But if we looked at those other ones in there as well, I just have to ask myself, is that in alignment with what we're trying to achieve? So if we look at AVA, okay, AVA, what sector is AEVA in? It's in semiconductors. So I've picked a stock for a long position. I love this chart. It looks great. I really like it. That's why it kind of tempted me. Is because, and actually its strength did hold up in comparison to SMH overall. But basically I picked a stock in a relatively weak sector in a potentially market that's rejecting off that all-time high. So even if the stock does all right, it's swimming up tide against the sector is swimming up tide against QQQ. And that's why it's just not a good pick for that reason, really. I should be looking to XLV and XLF if I want to go long, which I called for and looked at, and even had some notes on that. Can't remember my midweek video if it had that or not. You know, so HUT right didn't work out, and because my kind of stop triggered here, but it's because again we're kind of in tech sector, but a bit confused by Hub Long sometimes. In other software has it in financial sector. So maybe it's kind of straddling both and why that didn't work out so well. But good lessons. But my other pick, and you saw in there, is RD Reddit. But again, it's in the tech sector. It's in QQQ, and the same as AUVA. It's swimming upstream now. So not good picks. And the other one was ASTS. Again, same sort of thing. And comms kind of falling into the tech sector a little bit. Yeah, XLC is okay, but it has a lot of overlap with tech. So my overall thesis and picks into tech is just not good, really. And you kind of see the picks that we kind of got from here is the overall kind of what tier do these trades fall into, which I need to go back into amend those. I'm not quite sure why they've not stuck. Is these also were not top tier trades. JPM I could be relatively happy with, but when I go through my trading checklist, it's that I've referenced before. If I tick certain boxes in here, it kind of marks this as ABC or kind of no trade. I'm trading B tier and C tier trades. Reddit and AVA we can already say are not going to be A tier, right? If we look at AVA, yes, the D1 chart looks great. I really like it. It has actually shown some strength, but the sector is not strong. Yeah, if I just drag this over, and I know I looked at this earlier in the week, but it's sometimes really important to like bang home points into your head until it's kind of in there. But if I were to set this up now, I could already tell you it's not going to be that, right? It's not in a top sector, nowhere near. Does it have RVOL when we entered? No, it does not have RVOL. And the daily kind of thesis that we had was actually bearish, even though long-term market thesis is still kind of positive. So yes, it has a void to go into. Yes, it has some strength underneath it. Yes, it's bullish on the daily chart. So it's got some good things going for it. Every position does. A D1 breakout. So for me, it's breaking through these SMA is really nice. But again, it's a no trade because it doesn't have clear relative strength. It's not in a top sector. It doesn't have RVOL. And same for Reddit as well, actually. So if I just go back, actually, now we know that AVA, it doesn't have it on there. We know that is actually a no trade. Yes, it's a very small position. Okay, that's not the point. Because so that's even going tier. And, oh yes, a no trade tier. That's why I didn't see it, because I basically put these in the no trade tier. That's where they belong. So overall, my picks were just not good. My analysis was good. My market analysis, sector rotation analysis was solid. Just my picks is difficult. And this is the difficult thing about trading. Once you're in it and the market is open and you're looking for positions, sometimes sticking to your thesis and what your ideas are actually quite challenging. So let's iron out what is the thesis for next week for my notes and just for me to refer back to. So let's go back to the market. Okay, so what we want to, I'm going to wait to see when the market opens on Monday, because there's not much news next week, is will this seasonality strength work in the market's favor? That's number one. So what happens next, basically? So from the bulls, will that seasonality hold us up? We've clearly got good sector rotation, but will that be enough to hold the market up? Or are we going to see a drop and a bit of follow through from the bears to test these levels, just to test what happens at that point? So we want to see the bulls defend these levels. If it does continue to drop, we want to see it like this, really. So maybe it gaps down. Oh, that's aggressive. But maybe it climbs back up and closes aggressively high. That would be good. A nice bounce off here. A good place to enter long positions. That's what we're setting up for in those sectors that are strong. XOF is clearly getting a good rotation. And what we want to see within those sectors ourselves is we want to see some testing at this level. This isn't going to continue floating off into the stratosphere. It's probably going to backtest this kind of level here in blue that we've got. It's going to backtest that, right? So I would probably move that level to there to say, I want this level to hold. I want this big breakout candle here on heavy volume, not to get over halfway down this candle. That's what I want to see. I want to backtest and I want to bounce off that. XLV obviously had a great run up here, and we're bouncing. We're bouncing off AVWAP-Q. We're back, and we want to challenge that all-time high. We don't want to be in the QQQ position where we form a lower high off this, and potentially we're in trouble on XLV. So that's what we're looking for overall. Again, industrials are getting their own little bit of rotation in here. So we want to see some back testing. We want to see it hold. That's what we want to see if we're the bulls. So we might put that blue line there. So be patient. No need to jump into positions next week. Let's monitor the positions we have. Let's potentially try to get out of those positions because they're not the best positions. AVA, I'll look to exit that because I'm not overall happy with the position. So we'll see what happens to AEVA. Same with ASTS. Again, all in sectors that I don't want to be in. LLY I'm happy with. And if XLB continues to go and maintain its strength, I will add to LLY, because it's in a sector I like, it's got volume that I like, it's got relative strength clearly, right? Because it's in a strong sector as well itself, and has shown really good relative strength. Again, I showed a video the other day about what is that relative strength. What does it look like? This green, 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 beautiful. Here's the market here, crashing down. What is LLY doing? Climbing. Beautiful relative strength. Really, really nice. Yes, you get pullback to VWAP. It's going to be expected. That's fine. Not a problem. But every time the market pulls back, keeps floating, keeps floating. Strong stock. Held it really nicely. So that is clear relative strength. That is so clear. So clear. We have great here. Maybe we don't have the strong RVOL kind of here. So if we start ticking this box off, we can say amazing strength. We're bullish on the daily chart. Yes, look at that. Beautiful. This is a pullback. Fine. Top sector. Absolutely. D1 void available. Yep, we've got a nice risk to reward ratio. We'll put our stop under here. I would potentially put it under here, but it's very expensive stock, annoyingly. Has it got good RVOL? I get 1.2. No, but it's close. It is close. And the event here I'm looking for is a D1 event. So I've bounced off ABOQ, and we're breaking through those levels. So again, happy with that. And yeah, we've got a good setup. Room for improvement, half size. Fine. Right, pretty good. I like it. What I just need to move away from is these annoying positions of C tier and no trade. So so important to reference my trading spreadsheet. That's what it's here for. That's what I struggle to reference and bring up day to day with trading. But that's what we're looking for this week. We're just going to be cautious, see what kind of pullback we get with the market. Let's see how that rotation does. That's what we're looking for. Might do another video just looking at picks. Pete from One Option called out this stock. Again, it'd be a bit apprehensive because it's in a sector I'm not particularly fond of. So maybe I wouldn't take that one. Just look at my Zen scanner, double check something. But it's nice, right? It's climbed up a bit and it's shown strength in a sector that has not done well in tech. This stock has done really well. Nice earnings, gapped up things. So what I probably should do is set an alert on this crossing through the 50 moving average, because that could be a nice breakout. Breakout, maybe we retest, but we'd be aiming for that 23. So I like this. It is a good pick. This is Pete's pick, not my pick, but I think I'll make a separate video tomorrow just looking at some picks that we found. So actually that seems to be actually the financial sector. I'm not sure if this, again, because I moved over to training view, how useful this is in terms of kind of picking out the sector. But good, so add that to the list if that is indeed in the financial sector, which I like. Someone else pointed this out as well, but Tesla, pretty nice. But yeah, not one it's on my list, but I need to go through all of these, to be honest, and filter them down. Look at those banking stocks, see which one are doing well, and the healthcare ones as well. We'll make sure we nail that rotation and nail the stocks within the rotation. So that's it. that's my video for the week. Just kind of prepping. I'll try to get a separate video out just with picks that I kind of like and kind of keeping an eye on. Good trading, everyone, this week. Hopefully we can get out of these not great positions, but LLY I like. Keep going. All right, see you all.